What if I told you that the most underestimated element in Avatar, the one people often dismiss as defensive or evasive, is actually the most overpowered force in the entire series? Airbending isn't just about dodging, it's about dominating. And today, we're going to prove that air is the strongest element of them all. In the world of Avatar, The Last Airbender, and The Legend of Korra, bending is more than combat. It's philosophy, culture, and survival. Each element has its champions. Firebending is raw aggression and destruction. Earthbending is resilience and brute strength. Waterbending is adaptability and healing. Airbending is freedom, agility, and spirituality. But here's the twist. While most fans instinctively point to fire or earth as the strongest, airbending quietly holds the crown. Why? Because it combines unmatched mobility, limitless versatility, and terrifying hidden abilities that make it nearly impossible to counter. This script will break down exactly why airbending is overpowered, not just in theory, but in practice. We'll compare it to other elements, highlight its unique advantages, and reveal why the air nomads were feared despite their peaceful nature. Now that we've set the stage, let's dive into the core strengths of airbending, the foundation of why it reigns supreme. To understand why airbending is overpowered, we need to break down its core strengths. Think of it as analyzing a fighter's toolkit: speed, agility, versatility, defense, and offense. Air doesn't just check these boxes, it dominates them. Number 1. Speed and agility. Airbenders are the fastest movers in the Avatar universe. They can leap, glide, and maneuver in ways no other bender can match. While earthbenders stand firm and firebenders charge forward, airbenders dance around their opponents, striking from angles that seem impossible. Aang consistently outmaneuvers enemies far stronger than him. Tenzin in Legend of Korra demonstrates how airbending allows him to fight multiple opponents without being touched. Speed isn't just about running away, it's about controlling the battlefield. Airbenders dictate the pace of combat, forcing enemies to react rather than act. Versatility. Airbending isn't limited to one form of attack. It can be offensive, blasts of compressed air that knock enemies off their feet; defensive, walls of wind that deflect projectiles; utility, gliding, enhancing jumps, or even creating breathable pockets in dangerous environments. This versatility makes airbending a Swiss Army knife of bending styles. Defense. Airbenders rarely take direct hits. Their entire philosophy is built on evasion and redirection. Unlike earthbenders who absorb blows or firebenders who counter with aggression, airbenders simply aren't there when the strike lands. This makes them incredibly hard to defeat. You can't hit what you can't catch. Offense. While airbending is often seen as defensive, its offensive potential is terrifying. A concentrated blast of air can break bones, knock enemies unconscious, send opponents flying into walls or off cliffs. And that's just the basic level. Advanced airbenders can suffocate enemies by removing the air around them, a lethal ability that proves air's dominance. We've seen the strengths, but here's where things get interesting. Imagine fighting someone who can't be touched, who moves faster than you, who can knock you down without ever laying a hand on you. That's not just skill, that's unfair. That's airbending. Comparisons with other elements. Now that we've seen airbending's core strengths, let's put it to the test. How does air stack up against the other elements: water, earth, and fire? Spoiler alert, air doesn't just compete, it dominates. Air versus fire. Firebending is often seen as the most aggressive element. It's flashy, destructive, and dangerous. But aggression without precision is weakness. Firebenders rely on direct attacks: flames, lightning, bursts of heat. Airbenders thrive on evasion. They can redirect fire, disperse flames, and close distance faster than fire can spread. Aang repeatedly dodges fire blasts from masters like Zuko and Azula. Fire's strength is raw power, but air's speed and unpredictability neutralize it. Air versus earth. Earthbending is about stability and brute force. Earthbenders anchor themselves, creating walls, launching boulders, and standing firm. But what happens when the ground itself is irrelevant? Airbenders fight in 3 dimensions: leaping, gliding, flying. Earthbenders are stuck to the ground, making them predictable. An earth wall is useless if the airbender simply vaults over it. A boulder is wasted if the airbender sidesteps before it lands. Air's mobility dismantles Earth's rigidity. Air versus water. Waterbending is versatile, adaptive, and fluid. It can heal, freeze, and overwhelm, but it has one critical weakness: dependence on external sources. Waterbenders need water nearby. Airbenders always have their element. It's everywhere. Even in deserts or dry climates, airbenders are at full strength. Waterbenders are limited by environment, while airbenders are limitless. Think about it. Fire can be extinguished, earth can be broken, water can dry up. But air? Air is everywhere. You can't escape it, you can't destroy it, and you can't live without it. With these comparisons laid out, it's clear air holds the upper hand. But the true proof lies in combat, where airbending's dominance becomes undeniable. Airbending in combat. It's one thing to talk about strengths in theory, it's another to see them in action. Combat is where airbending proves it isn't just evasive, it's dominant. In one-on-one battles, airbenders are nightmares to fight. Their speed and unpredictability make them nearly untouchable. Aang versus Zuko. Throughout their early duels, Aang consistently evades Zuko's fire blasts, turning the fight into a chase rather than a contest. Tenzin versus Equalists. In Legend of Korra, Tenzin fights off waves of chi blockers, using airbending to stay mobile and untouchable. Airbenders don't just dodge, they counterattack with precision, striking when opponents are off balance. Airbending shines even brighter in group combat. While earthbenders and firebenders are locked into predictable patterns, airbenders weave through chaos, striking multiple enemies at once. Airbenders can knock down entire squads with sweeping gusts. They can disarm enemies by ripping weapons from their hands with controlled air currents. They can scatter formations, breaking the unity of opposing forces. In war, disruption is power, and airbenders excel at it. Psychological warfare. Airbenders don't just fight physically, they fight mentally. Facing an opponent you can't hit is demoralizing. Every missed strike drains confidence, while every sudden gust reminds you of your vulnerability. This psychological edge makes airbenders even more dangerous. We've seen airbending's dominance in combat, but its true power lies in abilities most fans overlook, the hidden techniques that make airbending terrifying. Airbending's hidden abilities. Here's where airbending goes from strong to downright terrifying. Beyond speed and agility, airbenders possess hidden abilities that make them nearly unstoppable. These techniques aren't just powerful, they're game-changing. 1. Flight. Airbenders can achieve true flight. While gliders are common, masters like Zaheer in Legend of Korra demonstrate that with spiritual enlightenment, airbenders can soar unaided. Flight gives airbenders absolute control of the battlefield. No other element grants this level of mobility. An airborne airbender is untouchable by earth, fire, or water attack. Perhaps the most lethal airbending technique is the ability to remove air from an opponent's surroundings. Zaheer uses this against the Earth Queen, suffocating her instantly. This ability bypasses all defenses. It doesn't matter how strong your earth wall or water shield is. Without air, you're powerless. It's the ultimate trump card, proving air's dominance. Airbenders don't just manipulate air around people, they control entire environments. They can create storms, whirlwinds, and tornadoes. They can disperse poisonous gases or smoke. They can alter pressure to destabilize opponents. This environmental mastery makes airbending not just a combat style, but a force of nature. We've seen air's hidden abilities, but some might argue it's still not the strongest. Let's address those counterarguments head-on. Now, some might argue that airbending isn't the strongest. They'll say it's too defensive, too evasive, or too reliant on philosophy rather than raw power. But let's break down these counterarguments and dismantle them one by one. Counterargument 1. Airbending is just defensive. Rebuttal. Defense is power. In combat, survival is the ultimate advantage. Airbenders don't just defend, they evade, redirect, and counterattack. Their defense is offense, because every missed strike from an opponent creates an opening. Counterargument 2. Air lacks raw destructive force. Rebuttal. Raw destruction isn't the only measure of strength. Airbenders can incapacitate enemies without collateral damage. They can suffocate, disarm, and disable opponents instantly. That's precision power, far more dangerous than... Counterargument 3. Airbenders are too peaceful to be strong. Rebuttal. The Air Nomads chose peace, but that doesn't mean weakness. Their philosophy was restraint, not inability. When pressed, airbenders like Zaheer prove that their abilities can be lethal. Strength isn't about constant aggression, it's about potential. So when people dismiss airbending as the weakest, they're missing the bigger picture. Air isn't just strong, it's the element that redefines strength itself. We've dismantled the myths, proven air's superiority, and revealed its hidden powers. We've explored airbending's speed, agility, versatility, hidden abilities, and its dominance over other elements. We've dismantled the myths, addressed the counterarguments, and revealed the terrifying truth. Airbending isn't just strong, it's the strongest. Think about it. Fire burns, earth breaks, water flows, but air? Air is everywhere. It surrounds us, sustains us, and when wielded by a master, it becomes the most unstoppable force in the Avatar universe. You can't fight what you can't touch. You can't resist what you can't live without. That's why airbending is overpowered, and why it reigns supreme. Airbending is more than a bending style. It's a philosophy of freedom, adaptability, and limitless potential. While other elements rely on brute force or environmental conditions, airbending thrives in every scenario. It is the element of survival, dominance, and inevitability. The air nomads may have chosen peace, but their power was undeniable. And when unleashed, airbending proves itself as the strongest element in Avatar, not because it destroys the most, but because it controls everything.